What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Subscribers, welcome back to the channel. To those who are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can be notified when we release more videos and we do our live streams. And thank you to everybody that supports the channel by watching the videos. I know I put commercials in the videos, so I appreciate you guys working with me in that regard. Also, thank you very much to everybody that donates into the super chats, Venmo, Patreon. You guys really do help us, generate the revenue we need to support the causes that the channel is established to support. Thank you very, very much. It's been a very, very successful year, and my thanks go out to everybody for helping the channel be such a success as it relates to raising the revenue for those causes. Thank you very, very much. Now, I'm going to talk about a subject, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, and Deontay Wilder. It's an interesting little combination because I don't want to make more than one video about this subject today. So I'm going to combine them and some things that were said that I think are interesting. First, I think, Deontay Wilder, according to Shelly Finkel, they're telling Anthony Joshua's team that they're not really and that if they want to make a fight with Deontay Wilder, just send an offer that looks good, that they believe that can be acceptable. And, other than that, they're not really interested in having a conversation about it. And then the second thing, I'm going to combine this, is Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk in my opinion, is the only champion in boxing. He's the cruiserweight champion. And by that, I mean, there is no other champion in cruiserweight. He is the champion. The WBO, the WBA, the IBF, and the WBC cruiserweight champion. He's the only person in all of boxing that can say that. Every other champion holds one or two or three of the belts, and there's more than one, or better way to put that, there's more than one title holder in every other division in boxing. So much respect to Alexander Usyk for having that unique distinction in boxing. And now apparently he's moving up. He's done a co-promotional deal with Eddie Hearn in the hopes of getting a fight with Anthony Joshua. Now, I find it interesting because I agree with the approach that Deontay Wilder's taken. And I think that Alexander Usyk approach is risky. And I believe it's risky because of the same reason, because he's not the first person to try to sign with Eddie Hearn in a hopes of getting a fight with Anthony Joshua, but having that turn around on him and not being able to get that done. And this other person, obviously, is Luis Ortiz. And so let me address the Deontay Wilder portion of it first, and I'll address the Alexander Usyk. And then I'm going to wind up with a little, for what it's worth. One of the reasons I said that I want to thank people for making, this channel successful. And by successful, I mean being able to achieve what the goals that the channel was established to reach. I've taken a lot of good advice by people that have boxing channels and people that have boxing, who are in the boxing universe. And I think that the most important thing that you can possibly have in this regard as a boxing fan, as a boxing channel, is to have an opinion. And to have that opinion based on some pretty sound principles that you hold to and that you're consistent in holding. But once you have that basic premise, that basic standard that you live by, judge people based off the standard that you hold. Because there's a lot of things that are subjective in the sport of boxing. But when you start applying things differently for different people, that's when you kind of wind up getting out of whack, and your overall purpose that you're working towards, if you have a purpose, you kind of get off track about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the very end. Now, Deontay Wilder is not chasing Anthony Joshua. And I maintain that he has become more successful by distancing himself from Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and standing on his own, than he would have been if he would have followed the advice of Eddie Hearn, where Eddie Hearn was making him promises and asking him to do certain things, which would eventually lead to a fight with Anthony Joshua. Now he's in a situation where he's going to probably be in the first or second biggest fight in boxing this year when he faces Tyson Fury in a pay-per-view card. I believe it's going to be December 1st, either December 1st or December 8th, against Tyson Fury, fighting for the lineal championship of the world and of the heavyweight division. And he would not have been there if he had listened to Eddie Hearn any way through it. I mean, any of his advice. If you recall, Eddie Hearn said, if I give you $5 million, Deontay Wilder, if you fight Dillian White. Deontay Wilder said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested. I want to fight Deontay Wilder. That offer then went from, was it $5 million? And it went up to $8 million, right? The offer went up by $3 million. The first offer that was made from Eddie Hearn to Deontay Wilder for a Tyson for Anthony Joshua fight was $12.5 million flat fee, which was rejected. Then what's the second offer that comes through? $15 million flat fee. So it goes up by another $3 million, right? Now, Deontay Wilder is in a position to have a pay-per-view that earns more money than the pay-per-view that Anthony Joshua just had with Alexander Povetkin. And let me explain how that's the case. If they did 20 million I think the fight with Anthony Joshua and Alexander Povetkin probably netted or grossed around $40 million. Around a $40 million gross. The gate for Gennady Golovkin, Canelo Alvarez was $23 million last weekend. Off 1 million pay-per-view buys at $90 a shot for Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez, that was $90 million in pay-per-view and a $23 million gate. All of that stuff, just that. I'm not going to talk about whatever other type of revenue that there was into that. Other than that. So that's $113 million. If Anthony Joshua's pay-per-view against Alexander Povetkin was roughly 26.8 American dollars. It was I think it was £19.99. I'm not sure if they use cents for that, which when you adjust it to the dollar makes it about 26, a little over 26, a little less than 27 dollars per pay-per-view. So I just rounded up to 30. If he gets $1 million, that's $30 million from there. You know that that they roughly did $10 million. They might have done about a $10 million gate. If $10 million gate, because I'm just going with the numbers that they had from Klitschko when he sold 90,000 seats. This one was less than 80. So really it should be a 10% decline on the sales from Vladimir Klitschko, but I just want to round up and give him the credit for the same numbers as Klitschko, which was 10 million US dollars, 8 million pounds, 10 million US, roughly 10 million US dollars. So between the $30 million US dollars that they would have got from the pay-per-view and $10 million that they would have gotten from the gate, that's $40 million. That's $73 million less than Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin. So if you cut in half what Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez did, just cut it in half. and say they do 500 pay-per-view, 500,000 pay-per-views, and their gate is half of that, half of what Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez is, that puts them at $57 million. The fight with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is almost guaranteed to be bigger than financially bigger. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury is almost guaranteed to be bigger than Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Povetkin. And how did he get that to happen? By going his own way. By making his own decisions, saying like, you know what, I'm just not going to chase Anthony Joshua anymore. He doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight in a situation where both people are treated fairly. And now he's on the verge of creating a situation where he could arguably be the number one money man in as far as generating revenue in a fight in heavyweight boxing. And so much so now that he's like, look, man, I'm not even interested in your offers. Make a real offer that I'm interested in. Other than that, man, go away. That's the stance that Deontay Wilder and Shelly Finkel and Al Heyman are taking. They also have the biggest. He's fighting on Showtime and Fox when they just had this gigantic deal. It kicks off in October. So the money went up where he is. And so going his own way put him in a situation where his stock goes up, his leverage goes up and all. Alexander Povetkin is going to taking the Luis Ortiz route. And I don't have any doubt that Alexander Usyk can beat Tony Bellew. If he fights Dillian White, if he fights Derek Chisora, if he fights all these guys, all these other guys, and wins and looks impressive and looks like he's a serious, real deal at heavyweight, he's not going to get the Anthony Joshua fight. That's the lesson that Luis Ortiz got. Luis Ortiz was signed so he didn't come anywhere near Anthony Joshua. I don't believe Alexander Usyk. Now, I could be wrong, but that about Alexander Usyk and what they do with Alexander Usyk, but clearly he's not doing the same thing that Deontay Wilder did, that basically put Deontay Wilder in a much better position now than he was a year ago. And if he knocks out Tyson Fury, the only people that are going to be arguing that Deontay Wilder, that Anthony Joshua is the A side to such an extent that Deontay Wilder has to accept anything that he says, are going to be the troll bots that are hired by Eddie Hearn to go around to people's channels and put these comments out there. But that's not going to be what the reality of it is. And please note during this conversation that I've not torn at Anthony Joshua for ducking. I've not torn at Anthony Joshua for the quality of his opposition. I've not talked up Deontay Wilder's fighting ability, his record. I've not done any of that. I'm just looking at the situation that was looking at how the situation has changed from September of 2017 to September of 2018. Anthony Joshua's stock is going. If anything, it stayed the same, but more than likely it shrank. Definitely has shrunken as is compared to when a specific conversation about Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua takes place. But now you've got another very, very good boxer in Alexander Usyk, and I think Alexander Usyk is taking the wrong approach. I think Alexander Usyk would have a better shot at fighting if he wants to get Anthony Joshua. He'd be better off trying to take the route that Tyson Fury's taken. Because Eddie Hearn and those guys have a plan for Anthony Joshua, and it's not to lose to somebody that looks like they can beat him. And maybe that's the case with Alexander Usyk, or maybe it's not, but I would advise that dude to have thought twice and learn the lesson of Luis Ortiz. You know what I mean? So anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.